Yo guys, what is going on? Got some more BT21 World Convergence gameplay, this time featuring Red Hybrid. I'm kind of just trying to do like a video on each deck. I've been kind of playing this format, and this deck, as always, is, pretty fun. I think it's one of the fan favorites. People like red aggro decks, and this deck's been around since pretty much the start of the game, so we've got some new tools to work with, playing up against Appmon at the top, which is another deck I've been messing around with a lot. We open Uko Flamemon, which is a really strong start. You see there the new Spirit Evolution, which can actually be grabbed off of that Flamemon since it's a 10 warrior in trait. I'll show the list at the end, but this build is a little bit of a departure for Red Hybrid because we finally have some defensive tools at our disposal. You see the Emperor Greymon there in the hand, which is a blocker. It's removal. It's a free unsuspend at the end of your turn. So I've kind of built this list like, yes, it's still red hybrid, yes, it's still aggro, but you're kind of playing a little bit more defensively before. I think that suits my playstyle a little bit. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say this is the best version of red hybrid, because it really isn't, and honestly, if you want a better version, I would probably just stick with like Ancient Grey Turbo, although now with the old Ancient Greymon not as useful because you've lost out on 3 Agunimons. It's kind of, I don't know, but anyways, we're gonna just get some early aggro in, digging for a piece with Uko, swinging security with the Flamemon here. But the thing about Appmon is they have a ton of security Digimon. Most lists play 4 of the Gossip, 4 of the Sociamon, and then sometimes the Calendar as well. So you see here, like, this is another one of Red Hybrid's issues, is that you usually don't want to hard play your tamers because your Flamemons are always like, oh, on deletion, play a free tamer. But the thing about that is, number one, your Takujas, your Flamemons don't always die, or like your Gunimons with the Flamemon source don't always die, so you can't always do that. And I think I'd rather just like tempo-wise play out a tamer for free versus like my other alternative there was probably like evolve in the back. That being the wrong Flamemon, though, so regardless, I didn't really have a choice. Spirit Evolution security is really good because it lets you free play Tamer and then adds to hand, very similar to the Ancient Guardian Deity. And so we've got a pretty good amount of cycle. For the following turn, we've got play into Aldemon. We can possibly go into the Emperor Greymon if we maybe set it up correctly, not this turn. Since we are choked at 1. The new Takuya is really good. This card lets you Digivolve into a hybrid for 1 less for each of your red tamers with different names. Now this is actually, that should be a 1-cost Digivolution. I'm sorry about that. This is actually out of my control because we're on DCGO. I only had 1 tamer with a different name. I only had Takuya on field, so that should have costed 1 and not 0. You'll see here I'm still going to be able to clear his board because what we can do is we can still crash into the Charismon there with the Burning Graze effect to Digivolve into the Aldemon and then just free play our Tamer. So being able to just clear his board and kind of still have a good setup for next turn, being able to put hybrids in the trash is what we want to do because the BT7 Warp Takuya is still really good. As you won't, unfortunately, like, there's a couple really cool things you guys can do with this card, and East did a video on Red Hybrid kind of combos, quote unquote, with the new line, but you didn't really kind of get into the nitty gritty. So what you can do with the Warp Takuya is you can stick 5 sources underneath it, and if you have a Spirit Evolution setup, how I've been liking to play this card is as it kind of turns your Takuyas into security bombs. It has an all turns effect where it says when any of your tamers with inherited effects are played, so if they get played off security and you've got a Warp Takuya with 5 sources, you can just go into that Emperor Greymon for 0 cost on your opponent's turn. Also, you can just use it normally and go into it on your turn as well if you want to do it proactively. But having that security threat is really good, and I like it a lot. So unfortunately, like, this is a really hard thing to set up. Now I do have the Spirit Evolution plus the Takuya, but I didn't have enough hybrids in trash. My Gunimon's still alive, so I didn't have enough hybrids in trash to actually stick 5 under. But the other kind of package you can still play is, of course, the Ancient Greymon package. So you see there, I've got the Ancient Greymon hand, I've got Burning Greymon as well as a Gunimon. So here, even though I only have 1 memory, I have 2 bodies on board. He did stun the Aguni with the Clock... I think that's Clockmon. No, the Clockmon's the Hunter's guy. I forgot what this guy's name is. Watchmon, I think. So he stunned it, but I can basically Digivolve into the Takuya for a, again, quote-unquote 0 cost. It should be a 1 cost, so I should be at 0 here. But anyways, it's not going to matter. Even though we technically cheated a memory here, you'll see because we digivolved our Warp Takuya into the Burning Gray. The Warp Takuya gives a Sec +1 if you are 10,000 or more DP, so we can still just digivolve into the Almon for 0 here, paying no memory, right? And then we're 16,000 2-checker, and then Flamemon can just swing out the game. So it's still really useful for that, because it's just like a really beefy guy that can check security multiple times. So then game 2, our opponent here is going to go first. And we open pretty solid as well. Not, unfortunately, this Flamemon, I'm only playing one of it, and he's glued to my hand. So unfortunately, he's not one of like the inherited play a Takuya for free Flamemons, but we did top deck one. So now we pretty much have the ideal setup where it's like Flamemon into a Goonie, and then probably like playing a Flamemon to pass the turn, because we can go promo Goonie into the Ancient Grey next turn, 2-check, play out 2 free Tamers if we hit them. I did top deck the Uko, so I think because I want to get some more cycle, get another Tamer into rotation, because with the Ancient Greymon effect as well as the Flame Inherited, I can basically play 2 Tamers for free, but I only have 1, so I want to play the Uko, commit it early, just to be able to get that extra chance of getting another Tamer. So I think that's what we're going to pick up here is Warp Takuya, and then we also drew into another Flamemon that we can just Digivolve into the back. Thinking about it a little bit, Aldemon might have been good, but just going to grab that Takuya. And then now I think, yeah, just going that Flamemon in the back because it has the good inherited effect, and then we can just go into the Ancient Greymon for a cost of 2. Our opponent put us to a pretty good threshold for us, being at 2 memory is fine because we can go down to 0. He's going to start at 3 anyways. So then what we can do is we have multiple ways to pass turn here. We can just play the Spirit Evolution, I think is what I'm going to do, because again, now we have 2 Tamer free plays, so we can set up both of those Tamers for free. So there, in this scenario, there was no point in playing out the Takuya, but like the previous game where I didn't have any any ways to kill my Flamemon inherited, like stacks with Flamemon inherited, or any way to free to play the Tamers. Sometimes you do just have to commit and like hard play the Tamers, even though it's a little bit of a feels bad. And then just recycling stuff here. Ancient Greymon recycling the limited Aguni ones. This is pretty funny. I sometimes do wish that effect wasn't mandatory though, because then I could leave an extra hybrid in trash to potentially set up that Takuya warp play. Although Ancient Greymon himself isn't a hybrid, so I'd still need one more. But yeah, so Appmon here is a deck that kind of requires a little bit of setup. He does have the App Link as well as the Haru, so if he's got like full line, like in theory, right, you can go full line. You can go into like Link a Gotch for 1, Digivolve Dogotch for free, Link Time for 2, go down to 0, Link Digivolve into Globe for free, swing the 2 checks, and then maybe like end of turn Link the Karis to go into Gaia. But again, that's like a lot of cards you are forcing your opponent to have this early in the game. And unfortunately, or like fortunately for me, but unfortunately for my opponent, he didn't have it. He is able to get the, I think he grabbed the Karis, or grabbing something there with the Gossipmon, and then linking the Sociamon to then app views into the Karis, which is a pretty solid play, to be honest. Like, you can then recycle the Gossip again here, get another card back, and then you just have a blocker, which is pretty solid against Red Hybrid, although nothing to taunt. So I'm not really scared of this thing, because he didn't have a way to give Karis another Karis inherited, so it doesn't have protection. So we have ways of dealing with this. So we can just go Ancient Capo again. And again, like that, I kind of feel bad because I want Emperor Greymon to be the focus of the deck, but even though we only have 1 promo Goonie, you have ways to recycle it, and then also because we've got still the Burning Greymon and a Gooniemon package from BT21, I think, you still have ways to like just go into Ancient Greymon, and that combo is so much better than just any Emperor Greymon, right? It's effectively the same removal, it's still 2-checking, and then it's still able to set up your Tamers and stuff. So then we have a pretty simple line for lethal. This interaction is pretty awkward, or like a little bit goofy, because you have 2 end of turn triggers in the attack, and then you can do all these effects, and then you have to resolve Ancient Greymon before the attack resolves. I'm just going to pass on everything because I know I just have lethal. Okay, and then this last game is going to be against a different deck, so just bonus game, but I do actually manage to pull off something I had been trying to, like, get on recording for, like, 4, 5, 6 games. because it does require a little bit of setup and it's really funny, but it's kind of cool. So again, I'll just kind of show you guys how versatile Spirit Evolution and like the new playstyle of Red Hybrid can be. But Imperial, solid start, Rookie plus Jade Boost, and we also have a pretty good start in Flame plus Spirit Evolution. We've got a couple things we can do here. I think either you want to commit a Tamer or you want to Digivolve in the back. You could argue giving 5 here is way too much. However, which in retrospect I maybe agree with. I think the correct play would probably to play the 3-cost Takuya, but I think you should commit a Tamer. Red Hybrid is a deck that really wants to go into its hybrids turn 2, and if I don't play out a Tamer, it's possible he can memory choke me, so I wouldn't even be able to Digivolve or like do really anything, so I'd have to just go 3-cost Aguni in the back or the 2-cost Aguni in the back, missing basically both their effects, so you're just ending up with a vanilla. And so yeah, anyways, I just thought it was better to go into the Tamer, guarantee myself the 3 memory. And so this Agunimon is actually really solid in this deck. Because you can do a lot of shenanigans. You can tuck in any of your hybrids, so you can tuck in the Flame ones if you want an extra inherited to play another free Tamer. You can tuck in that Agunimon, like the promo Aguni, if you're not going to Digivolve into it to get the extra reduction for Ancient Grey. Like let's say maybe if you had like the Burning Grey or something, you could go like Agunimon, tuck it, and then Digivolve Ancient Grey, Burning Grey for 1, and then swing and do the combo. So there's a couple things you can do here. And now we've got a pretty alright setup with Spirit Evolution plus Double Tamer, but Imperial is a really hard matchup because they don't really care about like anything you keep on board. You're not going to get values off of your Flamemon inheritance, which is another reason I think like hard playing committing your Tamers in this matchup is a little bit better, just because a competent Imperial player will not really let you resolve that. But anyway, so our opponent's going to swing Paildramon here, and Spirit Evolution and Security is going to play a Tamer, triggering the Spirit Evolution on the field to Digivolve one of our Tamers into a Digimon and a hybrid. Because we've got Burning Grey underneath that Tokoji, we can evolve the Aguni into Ancient Grey on our opponent's turn. Now, keep in mind you do actually just still have to pay the cost for the Aguni. It's really weird. It's really goofy. But it effectively turns like your Spirit Evolutions and your Takuyas into security bombs, as well as like if your opponent, maybe not against Imperial, but if you're playing against a deck that's like beating over or deleting your stacks that have Flame Inheritance underneath it, and you can play out a Tamer on deletion, and you can do the same. You can do pretty much the same play, like just being able to play out the Tamer, and the news trigger will then be Spirit Evolution, Digivolving into a hybrid. So that's something you can do that can actually interrupt your opponent on your opponent's turn. And in addition to like the actual Emperor Greymon. And then now our opponent here goes Hexablow to strip the sources, and then is going to bot deck the Tokoji Memsetter to choke us at 1. But because Ancient Grey was Digivolved this turn, it deletes itself at the end of this turn. So I'm going to go ahead and grab back the Takuya and Koji Memsetter and one of our hybrids, and then just play the Memsetter out, guaranteeing myself the 3 memory again. So it's just a pretty funny interaction, and so that's another cool thing you can do. And then now, since we've got Tokoji on the field, plus a Takuya in the form of the BT21 Takuya, basically all our hybrid evolutions will be for 0, because we have -2 reduction, because you can treat Takuya Koji as either Koji or Takuyan Koji. So for here, we're going to be able to Digivolve for nothing, basically, and then being able to use the other one. You could, in fact, like, maybe if you had like an Aldemon, go over Burning Grey for 0, or we could go into the Aguni for 0, or we could just go into another Burning Grey here. Now we are under Hex, so since this Burning Grey does have more sources thanks to the Takuya Koji effect, we can actually play through Hex. And now we don't actually even have to worry about the DP, because we do have Ice, or we don't have Ice Clad, but because he has Ice Clad, we can beat over him 4 materials to his 3. I was considering a Paladin Ace here, but the thing is, how this works out is if he does go Paladin Ace, and then my Burning Greymon attacking will crash into it, as you see here, we do then have the Ancient Greymon combo to be able to clear the Paladin Ace. So I was okay if he didn't Paladin Ace, because I'd clear the Hex, and I was good if he also did do it, because then I get the memory back from Overflow. So we are going to die in the battle, but then what we could do is now, since we're no longer under Hex, we can then just go ahead and swing Security and then do our full Ancient Greymon line. And then because we've got the boost from the Burning Grey, as well as the Agunimon, we do actually match Ancient Gray. Now, he does have Partition, and this is the thing with my current build. I can't really clear wide boards because I'm not on Crimson Blaze. That might be a consideration if maybe you're planning to take this into locals and something. And then I do like a really stupid play here, but I thought it was funny. So again, not only did I do like an actual kind of cool play, but I'm going to do something really dumb here. For whatever reason, I thought Susano Ace was worded like Crimson mode. I like where it would choose like a total of X amount of DP and delete all of them. So I was like, you know what? I can just like I can just Digivolve this past turn by clear his board, and I'm not in threat of dying next turn. But there's like two factors I forgot here. Number one, I forget that like Susano just doesn't work like that. Like that's literally just not what the card does. And then number two, I also forget that the Ancient Greymon was Digivolved via the effect of Agunimon this turn. So then if I do that, it's going to kill itself, which is what you're going to see here. So I'm going to get to pop one thing, and then I'm going to be able to, yeah, so I guess here I realized, and I was like, oh, okay, we'll just kill whatever, it doesn't matter, and then just lose the 5 memory because the Digimon kills my stack. And then, yeah, that's pretty much GG's. I don't think I was winning that anyways, but yeah, that was a pretty funny way to go out. So our opponent here just has all the memory in the world to work with, slamming a Vmon to dig some cards. On the bright side, if he doesn't get to combo, we do have the promo Goonie, and we can maybe hit into like an Ancient Greymon next turn. But he's got like so many ways. He's got so many ways to lethal me, man. Like a single Paildramon will be GG's here. So yeah, we're gonna see XV and also limited Stingmon, by the way. I didn't actually even notice that. So yeah, we're just gonna see the Paildramon. That's pretty much gonna be GG's. But that's gonna be the video. I think I'll just cut here to show you guys what the deck list looks like, and this is pretty much it. So nothing crazy going on here, just Flamemon, Zagoonies, the Burning Gray package. I think this is pretty much the best addition as far as the hybrids go. I've tried out the Burning Greymon. Like, the only thing that I don't like about the Burning Greymon, and I know they intended this way, is that it doesn't work for digivolving into like Ancient Gray or anything. Like I think it specifically says, I guess we can look it up here. I think it specifically says level 5 hybrid Digimon. Yeah, to level 5 hybrid Digimon. So the intended line is to go like swing, Digivolve into this, and then Digivolve into Aldemon. But the Aldemon is just like really expensive. I don't really like going into that often, but it is an overall solid card. So yeah, anyways, this is the list, and that's the video. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.